This next speaker, and I know many of you are in the room, so I won't prolong the introduction, but if you've read a book recently, if you read a newspaper recently, if you've watched a television show recently, if you've watched a great movie recently, there's a very good possibility that the man that's coming up next touched that. He's someone I always respected. I always thought he was somewhat misunderstood. His diversity, the breadth of his holdings from back in the day when he owned The Village Voice to Fox News today. Truly a media icon who's now in our business. And in the next year, people that are touching real estate are going to meet Mr. Rupert Murdoch. He's the chairman and CEO of News Corp. Join me in welcoming him to the stage. Yes.
Thank you.
We'll just take you right in the middle.
I'll stand up here.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Brad, for that kind introduction and for inviting me to this great function of Real Estate Connect. You've got a great group of innovators in the industry here, from agents and brokers to technologists and financial experts. I love the sessions you've had on how entrepreneurs can take risks, create change, make a difference in this exciting, all-powerful market. And that's all music to my ears as a newcomer. Also, I loved your panels too. How I use drones to sell homes, and how I built my business with $500 and a saxophone. I assume that wasn't Bill Clinton. But I'd like to recognize some people, including my friend Robert Thompson, Chief Executive of News Corporation. Robert's no stranger to real estate, having helped create that great mansion section at the Wall Street Journal, among other property innovations and other papers that he's been in control of. Also, our new CEO for Move, Ryan O'Hara. Ryan's hard at work helping to make Realtor.com better than ever. And finally, I'm happy that my friend and personal agent is here, Dolly Lenz. She's put me in some very nice homes, and I've written her some very nice checks. But like many of you, Dolly's a real force of nature. But since News Corporation separated from 21st Century Fox and News Corp into two companies in 2013, News Corp has made two major acquisitions. One was Harlequin Books, and the other, the much bigger and more important one, was Move. We acquired Move because we believe in the American dream. We believe the digital real estate market is at last poised to take off. We've seen it happen firsthand in Australia, where REA is by far the number one property portal. Now, REA is a partner with us in Move and is using its expertise to help supercharge Realtor.com. We're also bringing the power of our other businesses to the equation. News America Marketing, for instance, reaches 74 million homes in America every week. New York Post, the Wall Street Journal, and their world-class content will be a gateway for Realtor.com. Just as our newspapers in Australia transformed REA 10 or 12 years ago. And Realtor.com, with all its great data, will be a gateway to our content. News Corp is really a data company. Wherever we look, we find rich data, all useful in building out our various platforms, and none more so than what we expect to do with Realtor.com. But why Realtor.com and Move? Why not Zillow or Trulia? Well, Move has a few things they don't. First, it has the most up-to-date, complete and accurate listings in the market. Indeed, updated every 15 minutes. Second, and most important, has a close relationship with the National Association of Realtors and Real Estate Agents are crucial to every home sale in America. Third, Realtor.com attracts transaction-ready consumers. They're not just window shoppers, they're buyers. And that has to be valuable to agents and, of course, to advertisers. And fourth, we chose Move because we live in an age when more people than ever are going to platforms like Realtor.com where they're serious about property. A Harvard study recently found that households with people in their 30s are expected to increase by close to 3 million over the coming decade. And that should lead to a greater demand for new housing. And that means millions more people turning to smartphones and tablets in search for a place to live. But also keep this in mind. Searches that begin online often end with the real estate agent because there is no digital substitute for the human touch. A home purchase is the single most important financial transaction most people will ever undertake. It's also, of course, an emotional decision. So no technology can meet all their needs. It takes a real person who knows the neighborhoods, the schools, the local businesses and parks, and much else. Agents help find a lender, a lawyer, a home inspector, and they do something most home buyers and sellers really don't want to do themselves. That is, negotiate, to drive a hard bargain, and to close that deal. Realtor.com helps bring home buyers, sellers, and agents together. We want the shortest distance between the American dream and an American family's reality to be through Realtor.com. And to do that, we're putting in new leadership, much of whom you've met, energy, products, marketing muscle, and new ideas into Move. Positive change are happening, and with much, much more to come. So I'm excited about the digital real estate market. A story in the Journal last week reported there's an air of optimism running through the home building industry. NAR economist Lawrence Yun estimates new home sales will rise 41% this year. And the housing market expands. As it does, so does the opportunity for all of us. So I want to thank you again for welcoming me here today, and it's great to spend some time with you, and I look forward to answering some provocative questions, I hope. Thank you.
That was fantastic.
Thanks, Brad.
Rupert, what impresses me, and I've heard this about you, you really dug in personally to this real estate issue when you made this acquisition. I mean, you have a global empire, but you really get right into a lot of the details of your businesses.
Yeah, I try to, yeah.
Where does your real estate passion come from? Is that from being a homeowner?
And I think the whole idea is interesting.
Yeah.
We were very excited by our experience a long, long way in Australia with REA, which is a beautiful site, and now, far the biggest in Australia. And agents say that they do, the deals they do start over 90% from that site.
Now tell me, there was a little bit of FUD, they call it when you bought Move, about REA and the business model there, and would you bring it to the U.S.? Tell us about what the brokers and agents in the U.S. there's anything to worry about in terms of your strategy there?
Not at all, no. Look, we understand this is a different business model in America, absolutely. But we think we can live at it. There's a lot of advertising to be had, financial institutions, mortgages, home improvements. It's a huge market.
Let me ask you a question. A lot of
We certainly don't want to replace agents. We think agents are absolutely central.
and use an
I
agent.
know my father, he was an agent. His Dolly is coming up in a minute. I don't have the patience for those, last few days of negotiations.
Yeah, and so Dolly's your agent.
Closing it, yeah.
We're going to bring Dolly out, by the way, because it occurred to us that it'd be great to have someone in the trenches in on this conversation. So
Right.
can we bring her out, or
Should do.
Dolly, come on out. Dolly Lenz. Sit here.
Great, thank you.
So does Dolly cut you good deals? How does that work?
Well, I think so. Yeah. She tells me so.
Let's talk real estate a little. You had a question.
On your recent purchase in Los Angeles, what sung to you? What made you pick that house? Why did you love that house?
It was a combination of things, really. I was at a turning stage of my life. I wanted to do something new, and I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles because I'm still the chief executive of 21st Century Fox. And I read in the Manchester section of the Journal, I'm sorry it wasn't an advertisement, it was a planted story, but about this little vineyard, 14 acres in Bel Air, if you please.
They grow wine in Bel Air? I didn't know that.
I do, yeah.
Yes. There's a Murdoch wine.
And I'm probably the only person that does it commercially. We do about 10,000 bottles a year.
I have to get one
And
of those.
Very, very, well, it's very simple.
I bet it is.
MoragaVineyards.com, It's all there. There's a house at the bottom of this hill. It's right opposite the Getty Museum. It's beautifully placed. And I recognized the name of the owner, who had, in his long, long retirement from a huge job in Los Angeles, had just devoted himself to growing wine and loving it. And I got interested in him and talking, and I said, look, he wasn't asking a lot of money for all that land, so I said, if I meet your price, you won't promise not to shop it, will you accept it? He thought about it, he said, well, I don't want anything in writing, just promise me you won't ever subdivide it. So I said, fine, okay, and I got it. And now he'd been in the house 45 years, so it needed a bit of work. And there I am, a minute now. And it's the same distance from my office as the previous house, about 15 minutes.
Perfect. Let me take you back to Australia. It was an acquisition of a newspaper, a smaller newspaper in Australia. And the reason I asked
I was lucky. I inherited, with my sisters, 51% of about a day stands, a very, very small company. And my father had been an editor of much bigger things, and it was a great opportunity in life, great opportunity. And we just worked and worked.
So you were born in a newspaper.
Beyond that, absolutely. I was born at the knees of an editor, of a journalist.
Yeah. Take us from there. Particularly, we have a lot of entrepreneurs here. This crowd is real estate brokers and agents like Dolly, and then we also have young entrepreneurs trying to start a company. Give them some advice of what they should do and how they should think about business.
Be ambitious, take risks. Obviously, think about them before you do. Probably more than I did at times. Not everything I did was that successful, but the average was good enough. And don't be frightened of failure. When I started, we had no other money, so we had to buy things that were bankrupt virtually and just work at them and slave at them. And enough of them worked, so here we are.
Yeah. How about, you've been going to San Francisco a lot, I hear, and visiting the Silicon Valley? And
I try to go there every few weeks. I get very excited there. There's just a great entrepreneurial spirit, and technology is just coming at us so fast, that I'm no technologist, but if you're going to be in business in this world, you've got to be up with what the trends are and at least understand what's happening.
Yeah.
You don't have to understand all the technical details of it.
Now, you were wandering around.
I think we're seeing it in media. It's moving to mobile. just as Realtor.com will be more and more on a tablet or a telephone.
Yeah. It's like right now we're streaming. You can on your iPhone. It's HD quality in your iPhone that people can see on the screen. It's unbelievable. A year ago, the quality wasn't even close.
It's incredible. I know, and you're going to find we've got Netflix on it, but you can get anything on it now.
Yeah.
And we'll be putting sooner or later, all our Fox channels. We have many of them. They'll all be going on the internet, as well as through the cable companies.
Tell me this: you were wandering around CES. I hear you were down in Vegas during the Consumer Electronics Show.
Mm-hmm.
We get to meet. Did you see?
Well, I usually take a lot of my senior executives, particularly from Australia and from England, India, around the world, so that they can get a glimpse of what's happening in this country. Although, I mean, there are exhibitors there from all over the world too. But whether we're just hearing from the chief executives of people like Google and Microsoft to more exciting things in a way, like Airbnb, fascinating, or Instacart. Now that's not high tech, but it's use of tech and use of the internet to provide huge services. Airbnb is started by a kid. He's still got to be in his 20s, I would think. Nearly went broke, did it on his credit card for a while. And today he's got 1 million beds available around the room any day of the week.
Amazing.
And about 550,000 let.
Yeah. Think about, in real estate, I always complain that, we've figured out the front end. The consumer can look for homes. But the back end, why can't we have a smoother, transaction? So like Airbnb or like Uber or something. Do you think that's an area that you guys can invest in and move to just make the process a little easier for us?
We've got to find a way to do that. But, if there's some magic thing, well, Uber, for instance, uses some really brilliant technology. And, of course, it's run into vested interests and regulations everywhere. But where it's got established at all is so popular, politicians don't dare move against it.
Yeah.
Here, you know better than I do. It doesn't matter what city you're in or what state you're in, there's a new set of regulations. And I think there will be a move in this country to deregulate a lot of things. But we should make sure, as an industry altogether, to try and get these regulations turned back.
Yeah. One of the whys in the road you must have had is, why not, like Warren Buffett, buy a bricks and mortar real estate company versus buying a digital company? How did you come to that decision?
Oh, I don't know enough about it. I think, we know a little bit about communications and we understand what you can do with Move or Realtor. But I don't want to get into, I don't want to get into any position of conflict with any of you. We're here to serve you. Mm-hmm. And people say, would we buy into this? I'm told Zillow is talking about that. We're not into that at all.
That's not.
And it's real data, and it's good data, and it's real estate. Realtor.com is a big difference, just because all the data is 100% accurate and within 15-minute feeds.
Yeah.
So I think that's a critical thing that I am delighted that Rupert chose to purchase this company and assist all of us in getting to the next level.
We've got to keep all those qualities. We've got to add to that, make it the user interface kinder. We've got to make it more obviously friendly to agents, which I think is not that difficult. It just can take a lot of work.
Talk about the media business. It's changed a lot. Is there a day when you won't be printing newspapers, would you guess?
I don't think so. I think print is still really, really important. Certainly the next 20 years. Are people going to get more? Our major papers, like the Times in London and the Wall Street Journal, are fully available on mobile, either on your desktop or on your iPad, more and more on your telephone, but you've got to pay for it. People want edited material. They want certain writers, they want a flavor, they want things. It's got to have some special quality to it. I mean, the journal sells 1,350,000 copies a day. 98% of them home delivered to people we know. And another 900,000, or probably 1 million now, on WSJ.com. And that will start to, it'll soon be a few 100,000. We'll be able to get it on their, they can now get it on their iPad, but we have to improve that a lot.
I read the Journal and the Post on my iPad, and they just keep getting better and better and better. And I think back to the print days, if you changed a masthead, it would take you 2 years or 10 years. Here, you can constantly update the software and make it easier. And the Journal is so easy to read now. Just the latest improvements.
Thank you.
The Journal acquisition, you were, I'm not criticizing, people wonder why you would pay $5 billion for a traditional newspaper. Looking back, was that a good investment?
I think a great one. We sold off a few things, some of the index for about $1 billion, so it's a bit less than what it sounds. But yes, I think it's got a huge future. It'll change slightly. I think advertising, the digital advertising that's going at the moment elsewhere, our digital advertising on our sites is very, very good, but, and it can get a lot better. But I think we have to admit that search advertising works, the sort of Google model, but and it works on special sites like Realtor or its competitors. I think that works. But on the social media, I'm yet to be. I know we've tried it in Fox with very little result. So you can use social media to chat and get some talk going about your product, but if you're taking advertisements, no. I think you're going to see quite a lot of money coming back to traditional media like newspapers, like television, and outdoor. So that's okay, but I don't think you'll see the sort of profits rising and falling hugely according to economic conditions. I think you're going to get it as people learn that they have to pay for this. And these ideas of free news sites just don't work. They don't make any money, right. Certainly. Look,
I'm with you. I just started charging for Inman News, so
right.
We're soul brothers here. But you believe in the paid content model?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
you get, if we were to give away the Wall Street Journal, you get 10 or 20 million people looking at that every day. Whereas in fact, we sell it for $28 a month, and that will go up. It's only $1 a day.
Right.
If you go to the newsstand, it's $3.
Right.
And Starbucks is
that's
$4.
a bargain. We sell now either in print or there on the web over 2 million a day. That's 2 million homes, which would be, I think, probably the wealthiest and the most influential homes in America. That's a fabulous audience. Mm-hmm. If we let it out for free, we wouldn't know who the hell was getting it. Yeah. We could talk about a big number, but we couldn't sell that quality.
Mm-hmm. It seems one edge you have on, Zillow and Truly on traffic are really way out ahead of you all, and you certainly changed the landscape. I'd love to hear.
We don't intend to leave them there. Well, we tend to compete with them. Sure.
Tell us about that, because you have a lot of assets to make that traffic grow. Do you see that being integrated? It's starting to happen. Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. No, we'll be referring to it in the Journal, anywhere at all, anywhere we have an opportunity, in a separate company, but sort of a half-sister company. I'm sure we'll be advertising it. We did this with REA. It was broke when we got it, as they all were in 2000. And we picked it up, and I took a big interest in it for very little. And then all our properties, suburban papers, everything, just never stopped mentioning it. They weren't crude advertisements, they just referred across to it all the time. And it took off.
Now, you're obviously, go
Sorry.
ahead.
And if you think about it, think about how fabulous it is to have this layered approach. So you'll be able to be on Realtor.com. It'll go to the Wall Street Journal. It'll go to the New York Post. It'll go to all the other assets. I'm sure at some point that would all be able to be in one package where we can purchase ads in one area and actually get ads everywhere. And especially in the luxury space.
Across the lot. Absolutely.
I mean, that's the biggest game changer, I think. I want to reach that 1% buyer, and I want to make sure I reach him in the morning when he's first looking at something. And I think through this product, I will be able to reach all those buyers, as I do now.
Yeah.
We got one broker on your side here, Rupert.
Good. Okay.
Let me ask you another question. You're in India. You just made an acquisition in real estate.
Yes. Well, we bought 30%. We're just sort of testing the water there. In our other company, we have a great business in television. We're the number one in terms of share of audience with a number of channels in India. We'll use them if we decide that this company we've got is good and we like the management and we increase our shares in it, all of which would be possible. Then we'll get behind it and drive it very hard. We've also bought, or maybe REA has done it, but something in Southeast Asia and Singapore, Indonesia, which is very young yet, but we believe in those markets are going to develop a lot. I'm very bullish about India particularly.
Yeah.
Just the number of people in the wealth creation going on there is just
and the things are changing there. It's a little early to say it yet, but it's looking a lot more hopeful.
Yeah. Now, one thing Truly and Zillow haven't done yet, and they'd probably tell me I'm wrong, but they really have concentrated on the U.S. footprint and the U.S. home buyer and seller and the realtor. It looks to me like you're going to be able to move quicker globally. I mean, the connection with Australia and India. Have you had any eyes on things in Europe that, there's two big portals there? Do you look at those as opportunities?
We've looked at them. No. We thought they're a bit expensive. And not that big if you look at their turnovers. Big profit margins, big margins on small turnovers, and very high market cap. I'm talking about the British ones.
Yep.
I haven't looked on continental Europe. Yeah. And I don't know, I'm just as economic, I'm a bit down on Europe. I don't think I don't think I want to be putting a lot of money in there at the moment.
Yeah, what is it?
Maybe different in 3 years, we'll see.
Yeah. That's really depressed there. It just doesn't...
Well, they've got to face a lot of structural problems, which they're talking about, but they're just sort of running into a series of brick walls.
Yeah. Are you bullish on the U.S. economy this year?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it looks pretty good this year. You don't know how these world things will affect it, but long term, this is the country. Absolutely. It's the most entrepreneurial. They talk a lot about China. China's many decades way before they've got the same living standards and size as us. They'll be big, they'll be important, but right now this country, look, it's got this entrepreneurial spirit. Whatever we're worrying about today with too many regulations, we can put that right. That's going to get rolled back. The political cycle will turn.
And so you see a lot of growth here, and it looks like there's just too many good indicators all around. And great for the housing market. We have the housing market is just really starting to recover. If we can free
we can see that. Well,
yeah.
We can see that just already in our figures that move.
What technology excites you most? What are you doing? You're doing a lot of investing in digital stuff that doesn't get a lot of press, but what?
Well, the revolutionary thing that's happening, we read about it every day, is mobile, is a mobile telephone. You've now got 2 billion smartphones in the world. People can talk to each other, they can access the internet, all the knowledge, and that's going to become 5 billion. It's going up at the rate of at least 500 million a year. And it's not all Apple. There are people in different segments of the market that are undercutting them and cheap, but very good products. I think they're going to sell 300 million smartphones in China this year.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of competition, but it's really interesting. I don't know what the figures are here, but I don't know. It's hard to find people without one.
Yeah.
Well, it's perfect for
Even
real
my little
estate.
kids want one.
Yeah, buyers and sellers are going around looking at houses. The mobile device is just, it's
Sure.
the trick. It's so very crucial. Let me talk to you about, you're often misunderstood or underestimated. The Wall Street Journal was, you overpaid, you were going to ruin the editorial integrity. When you read about that, when you do something bold and interesting, how do you deal with it? Like, just bear with me, or do
you let that roll off your back, Look at the integrity of the Wall Street Journal today and compare it with the New York Times, for God's sake. No, I mean, that's okay. I've had that before. I had the same thing with the London Times, and we've done a great job with that. And this last year, it was the only newspaper in Britain that got in circulation. Not by a lot, but it was in the right way.
Yeah. I'm in the ebook business, and I knew some of the writers that were writing about books for the journal. They were, writing about the industry, and I never forget when you moved them from downtown to that wonderful space in 6th Avenue. They kind of were, we don't want to leave this great old space, but when they got up there, you made it very comfortable for the journalists. I don't think they ever had it so good, so
right.
They became your fans very quickly.
Well, it was Rupert that he designed all that office is terrific. And now, of course, people are saying we should move again, but I don't know. That's something for the future.
So tell us, you're really a media guy. Do you view Move as a media company? Is that how you see its future? I mean, its content, listings?
Yeah. Anything that's giving information to people or exchanging information, that's media. But it's a service media company. It's not a newspaper media company which has to have more character and things to it.
And so if you kind of had to look out into the future, is your battle with Zillow? They have a lot of engineers in Seattle. Is the way you compete through marketing, distribution, or is it better products, or is it a combination?
We've got to make a better product, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when we're satisfied we have a better product, then get out and market it hard. But
now let's
get the better product first.
There's been some questions about the name. Is it the right name, Realtor.com?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell does Zillow mean?
That line will be retweeted a zillion times. I can see it already.
We know what realtor means.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
What realtor means, what move means. I mean, these are all words that are absolutely intertwined with everything we do every day.
Right.
What advice would you give someone like Dolly? She doesn't need a lot of advice. She pretty stands on her own. But the brokers and the agents to stay up with this in the future, the technology, and what counsel would you give them? How should they think about their world?
Oh, stay up with it. Absolutely study, yeah. I think agents, are pretty alert. They're looking for a deal always, And so I don't really worry about that.
Yeah, good.
Well, we eat what we kill, right? So we have to be alert, okay? Otherwise, we don't eat. And you could see I eat.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I always say agents wake up every morning without a job because they're commission-based. They don't have
Exactly.
They're not on payroll. They don't get health insurance.
So they're hungry for,
Yep.
So they're intelligent, they're educated, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This is just a gift to the industry because you hadn't been to a real estate conference before, so we're very grateful. It's clear that you know what you're doing. You have an incredible history. And I got to tell you, for our readership at Inman News, when you made that acquisition, it boomed. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
And this audience really appreciates you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.